All right, Frankie Familia, it's another day in the NFL, and we got headlines all over the place. Not much about the New York Jets. There was a little player called Micah Parsons. You may have heard of him. He got traded. They traded him. They sent him up to the frozen tundra. So no big effect on the Jets. We do play the Cowboys week 5, so maybe this makes them a little weaker for this year, but they're trying to load up their draft picks for future years and stop the run with Kenny Clark. Interesting maneuver, but we are also on the verge of the NFL season. Next week, the train starts a rolling for the regular season. So next week is Pittsburgh Steeler week, and it's amazing that it's here already. And so we got to start talking about what are the Jets actually going to do in their regular season. So let's talk about the defense. All right. Let's talk about the defense. Now, one of the things that's almost certain to happen, and this comes to us from Sumer Sports, okay, Stats and Scheme newsletter. All right. Go get yourself a subscription over there. That's a free thing. So, but it comes from Sumer Sports. I just copy and pasted it into a Word document here because for readability. But this is, and what they're doing, they're saying, what can we expect from every team this year from a stats and scheme perspective? And so what they said about the Jets is that Aaron Glenn should be expected to bring the man coverage and blitz-heavy defense he ran in Detroit over to New York. 2024, Glenn's Lions blitzed at the third highest rate in the league and played man coverage at the second highest rate. And you see here it's on a chart. Well, if it's on a chart, it's got to be true. But on the y-axis, they have the man coverage rate, and this is last year. So you can see the Jets pretty high in man coverage last year, but not as high as the Lions. And then on the x-axis, you got blitz rate. And the Jets blitzed last year more than they would have liked because their defensive line wasn't as good as previous years. And even so, we're sort of in the middle of the pack. And but look at the blitz rate of the Lions. So I agree with this. And then they say Quinton Williams and Will McDonald one-on-one winners up front, while linebacker Quincy Williams may be sent on more blitzes. And Sauce Gardner was said to have a down year by his own lofty standards, but still finished 18th in yards allowed per coverage snap. Yeah, but this is still too high for old Ahmad. Now, the other thing this doesn't tell you is what type of man coverage we're going to be in, because this is a point that's been made by even our stupid beat writers, dopey as they are. They have figured out that this is going to happen somehow. I guess somebody who knows football told them about it, and so they've been hitting this point pretty hard in their commentary and so forth. But what this doesn't tell you, and what the beat won't tell you, and that only Frankie will tell you, is well, not only Frankie, but is that there's different kinds of coverages. There's actually not a coverage called man coverage. I hate to tell you. So when we're talking about man coverage, what we're actually talking about is different types of coverages. For example, cover 0, cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. You've heard of these things. Now, cover 0 is technically full man coverage, also known as cat coverage, where all 5 receivers are covered by one man on the defense. They follow that cat wherever he goes. That's full, complete man coverage. It's actually called cover 0. Now, I don't think we're going to play much cover 0. It's unusual in the NFL. And it leaves you wide open to things like quarterback runs. So the other thing that this graph doesn't tell you is what type of quarterbacks were the Lions going against, not only last year, but the previous years in the division that they were in, their main rivals. Were they running quarterbacks or were they pocket passers? Well, last year, the Packers had Jordan Love. He's a runner, but not a huge runner. Good mobility. But, before that, they had Aaron Rodgers, not known for his running. And then the Vikings had Kirk Cousins all those years. Last year they had Slinging Sammy Darnold, but and he runs a bit. And then the Bears have had mobile quarterbacks, but they weren't great at that time. Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. And those two, at the time they were playing for the Bears, had not gotten their act together passing-wise. So an interesting thing to do would be to look at the type of quarterbacks you're facing in your division, your main rivals, to determine, greatly what type of defense you're going to play. Now, in our division, we do have mobile quarterbacks. Josh Allen, one of the most mobile in the NFL. Drake May, very mobile. Tua Tagovailoa, not so much. But the problem with man coverage with Tua is you try and cover Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, man coverage, good luck. They'll just burn you all day long. So we'll have to see. So that's why I think it's actually more important to know what type of man coverage are we going to run. Cover zero? Probably not. Now, if we do run some of these if we did run a cover zero, we'd probably need to have a spy on Josh Allen. And just because you have a spy, that doesn't mean you're going to stop him, right? So, but the things I think we will do is probably cover 1 and cover 4. Cover 1 is a great run defense because it gives you an extra hat in the box. And let's get rid of this. And that is a man coverage with a middle of the field safety present to help out. And so middle of the field closed, cerrado, no bueno en el medio, and that's it. So you could go cover 1. Cover 2 is a zone where you have split safeties. Cover 3 is a zone defense with the honey hole on the mid flat. Middle of the field closed safety in cover 3. So again, cerrado en el medio. And then you have cover 4. But now cover 4 is a zone with man principles, though. So cover 4 is technically zone, but it has man principles. What do you mean, Frankie? Well, cover 4 is where you will have the corners and the 2 safeties taking a quarter of the field. That's why it's called quarters or cover 4. And so they're technically in zone. However, the corners are really on man on their number 1 receiver on their side, and the safeties are doing pattern reads on the number 2 man on their side. So if the number 2 receiver starts blocking, they just insert themselves into the box. So you can get extra hats in the box against run plays if you read your keys properly. And if not, if those guys go toward the post or whatever, then you pick them up and you just carry them. So it's zone, but it has man principles. So like, how does this chart that I just show you account for that? It doesn't. So that's where you can, data is nice and it's nice to have a chart and it tells you something, but there's almost always more to the story. you gotta actually look at the film. You have to actually know what you're looking at. And, so these charts are nice, but sometimes you got to dig a little deeper. So I would say cover 1 and cover 4. Now we're going to have to see. I don't know what we're going to do. We got Wilkes. We got Glenn. They're going to do something, and we'll have to see what it is, considering the quarterbacks and the teams that we're going after. Now, what other news did we get? We also got some news that we signed Korie Black to the practice squad. Who, you might say? Well, this is the practice squad right now. And you can see here, we pretty much retained everybody that we would want to retain, if you think about it. Brady Cook, Mevis, the thicker kicker. We retained everybody pretty much that we wanted. Dean Clark, Cole Laval, Leander Weigand, Eric Watts, Jordan Clark, the backup nickel. Then we got all of our wide receivers that we wanted to make the team. They kind of did make the team, but it's a practice squad. Pritchett, Skinner, Johnson got bumped out to make room for our waiver wire pickups, and then Brandon Smith made the team also. And Barnes, we expect, but he could sign elsewhere. He hasn't signed yet as of this moment, so he may sign back. He may sign with somebody else. But either way, we do have 1 open spot, at least, technically 2 right now, because Barnes hasn't signed technically yet. So who are we going to fill those spots with? That's a mystery. But we picked up Korie Black, and you may not know he was a 7th-round pick of the Giants just this year, and got cut. Now, who is he? You might want to say, what's the scouting report on Korie Black? Well, here it is. He played for Oklahoma State Cowboys. There he is. The little Guardian cap on. Scouting report, Oklahoma State Cow. This is written by Kyle Crab Apples. He got crabs. Okay. Oklahoma State Cowboy cornerback Korie Black projects as a developmental starter. Now, if you have a developmental starter that cost you nothing and picked him up and signed him to the practice squad, which is basically no cost at all, that's pretty good. Black is twitchy and physical and shows the ability to trigger and plaster against hard-angled routes. Consistency in his technique and footwork is the key to his reaching his ceiling, so hopefully good coaching from AG and our guys. But the physical ability is present, and he found the football often by being combative at the catch point in 2024. With an added layer of special teams experience, to his credit, Black can be a game-day active player who develops his defensive prowess over time. So this is a pretty good pickup. I mean, he's on the practice squad, so basically cost us nothing. It's free money. And he's graded him out with a 5th-round value. He went in the 7th round, but we didn't even take him as a 7th-round pick. We picked him up for nothing. It's free money. Well, here's a little life tip. Anytime you can get free money, pick it up. There's a bag of free money over here. No consequence if you pick it up at all. Not taking it away from anybody. It's just free money. Pick it up. Pick up the bag. And this is free money. Black projects as a developmental starter for a press man scheme. That's what we got. We're going to be doing man. We just talked about it. And it's going to be a lot of press man. Has the transitional ability to play deeper zones, but can shine with his aggressiveness and speed. We like aggressiveness. We like speed. On the perimeter to disrupt timing and plaster with inside leverage down the field. So we picked up a 5th-round value guy for nothing. And, he has special teams ability already from college. So if he comes and he's not going to, he's not going to be our starter or anything unless we have severe injuries. But a guy like this, if we do have backup injuries, what have you, whatever it is, this guy can come right in because he plays special teams. Those guys on your roster, if they're going to be active on game day, they have to play special teams. And this guy already has that experience. It says here, was a core special teamer who repped the punt coverage unit a lot. So he was a core special teamer in college. And he has sufficient tackling ability and wrap-up skills. Well, we like that. Wrap-up skills are good. So this is how the practice squad is looking. It's pretty much all the people that we wanted to keep. We did keep Brady Cook. He did beat out Adrian Martinez. Martinez signed with the 49ers. We like Cook better, and you saw there were multiple videos done by Jets X Factor I thought were excellent, explaining why Cook was progressing. Is he great right now? No. But he's the perfect guy to keep on your practice squad because of the progress he made from the time he first came in to the end of the period. I mean, it was like he made a lot of strides and showed a lot of promise, and that's great. But everyone, Watts is a guy who can get called up. Jordan Clark is a guy that could get called up. Any one of the wide receivers could get called up on any particular day, especially Tyler Johnson would be first, I would assume. But Marquise Hayes was a nice little pickup. He played well in the preseason, so perfect guy to have on the practice squad. And then you have this Korie Black guy who, like I said, the skill set he has is perfect for special teams and to be a backup and you keep him on your practice squad. That's a win. That's free money right there. Hopefully Zaire comes back and then we find out about this 17th spot. We did lose Donovan Edwards. It was probably the one guy we would have liked to have kept, but he wanted to find greener pastures elsewhere, I guess. But we'll have to find out who the last guy is going to be. We'll see probably in the coming days. There is nothing going on today, tomorrow, or Sunday. And then they come back on Monday and they start basically a normal work week for game week on Sunday. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments section down below. Please subscribe if you're new and give the video a like. Why not? It doesn't cost you anything. It helps out old Frankie and helps FSPN grow because we want to defeat the evil ESPN. And we're like David with a slingshot against that Goliath. So any help you can provide, a like, a subscribe, join the membership area, whatever it may be, we appreciate it. And we will see you next time.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustling dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin. On the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got